it's personal development. It's not relational development. So like there's a whole other piece of the puzzle, which is like, okay, I've done the work on myself, but as soon as I step into a relationship, guess what? You're back to square one. You now have to go through that while being witnessed and have the vulnerability of someone else seeing those parts of you. Because the person in the room that you partnered up with, that you did it for 10 minutes, yeah, that was a good reference point, but now it's time to go back into the real world and actually live it. And I'm a big advocate for personal development, and I'm a big advocate for plant medicine. I'm a big advocate for men's work, women's work, and working on ourselves. However, none of that matters if you can't bring it home.
Yo, 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 lovers. Welcome to Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. We're the O'Neills. You're here with Megan Jacob.
And this is the place we have really uncensored conversations about sex, intimacy, and relationships. We're super excited you're here. Enjoy this episode.
Hey, lovers.
Hi.
Hey, lover.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so great.
Yeah. How were you?
Well, we tried to record before and...
We had one of those classic moments where... Well, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
Why don't you want to say it? What do you mean?
Because I was like... I didn't really like you.
You didn't like me?
No. I had a lot of resentment.
But
what?
We moved through it.
We moved through it. We used an age-old technique of... fucking the frustration away.
Well, no, we realized that we were recording a podcast. We got 10 minutes in and then we were just like, the headphones were annoying me. And then you got annoyed at me because the headphones were annoying me. And then we just actually realized underneath all of that, we missed each other and we were feeling disconnected. And then you took my hand and without words, you pulled me into the bedroom and it was glorious.
And
I have really missed you.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
It's never about the headphones, guys. It's never about the dishwasher. It's never about
It's probably because you haven't fucked for a while.
Yeah, truly. Well, that's what it is for us.
What fucking...
Not that you should use sex as like we don't use sex when we're fighting as a way to like come back together. But when there's moments of tension, I think underneath that, like right then the truth of the moment was, for me, it was like, I really miss you. And I just feel like our bodies have been near each other for weeks, but we haven't actually...
Like two ships in the night.
Truly. Whatever that is. It's felt that way because we've both been really sick and then Oshi's been sick and it's literally just been like this tag teaming, of parenting and
I feel like
one of us in bed really sick, run down, all the things. And yeah, I think today just being, and we used to say this a lot when we first started the podcast that podcasting is like sex. Like we can't truly have sex without our hearts being fully there. And a podcast is the same. If we start to like podcast and we're just like not fully there and our hearts aren't there and there's disconnection, something's going to end up happening and we'll stop the podcast and we need to reconnect in order to, meet each other in that space. And it's the same with sex. We can start to try and have sex and then realize, our heart isn't here or like something's in the way. Something's clogging the channel, as we say.
Let's just say we got the plunger out and unclogged this channel.
We unclogged the channel.
I would say there's a blockage rather than something clogged.
I know. I know you hate that word. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation now.
Perfect. Let's have it. The last thing I'll say is intimacy is hard when everything else is like when you've got nothing left. Like if that's like there's a genuine like devotion to the family's nervous system, but that comes at a cost. And our intimacy was the thing that has really befelt like it hasn't been a priority.
Yeah, for the last few weeks.
This feels like the first time we've actually been alone without...
Totally. Then our nanny has our son right now, so yeah.
Without your work being a priority, my work being a priority, or some other thing requiring us to focus on it. It's like, this kind of felt like the first time we'd actually sat down and like looked at each other and like, I
miss you.
We're lovers?
Yeah.
Oh, forgot that for a moment. Yeah.
And I think that's something that, we've been in a season in the last few weeks where we've been sick and like it's been really challenging and it's not what life is usually like for us. But I think this you know, the clarity or what's been illuminated for me in the last hour is like, oh, this is really, our intimacy is so fucking important, not just for us as individuals or us as a couple, but for our family and just like the aliveness of our family. And it's something that we need to be prioritizing. And I don't know if scheduling, but yeah, it's like, it just, there's not as, now we're parents running 2 businesses. Our life is very full. It's something that there's not as much space for it to just unfold naturally.
And I also think being physically sick, like
totally.
I think that because before being sick, I felt like we were.
There was a lot of
I
spontaneous.
felt like there was a lot of like. For me, it was intentional, like intimacy of like not necessarily having to be penetrative sex, but like there was a weaving of our hearts. There was
totally.
Hey, we're lovers.
Yeah.
And I feel like when sickness happens, it's like love is no longer about how connected we are. It's about let's just get through the next minute.
Survive.
Yeah.
Let's survive this week.
Yeah. Intimacy is hard when you're in survival.
Yes, totally. And you know me, when I'm in something, I just feel like that's what it's going to be like forever. So when we have been in survival for the last few weeks and then I felt disconnected and that we haven't had time together and our intimacy hasn't really been there, part of me goes, is this it forever now? Is this what our life is like? And clearly no.
No, this too shall pass.
Yes, this too shall pass. I like when you remind me of that.
You should actually get that on your wall, I think.
I think you're going to say a tattoo like across my
on the inside of your eyelids. I think that would be good for you.
Yeah. I was just thinking huge across my forearm.
Yeah. This
Or
too
on
shall
your
pass.
back so I
Yes.
see it.
Yeah. What are you doing behind me? We had normal missionary sex, by the way. It was none of this me with my back to Meg. It was normal missionary, traditional.
Other than me pegging you, what would be that?
I don't know.
What would be that?
I don't know what you're doing behind me. That's why I'm like, don't get it.
Guys, I didn't just...
We are parents now. We are.
I did just do a post last night about how anal sex...
Yeah, I worried if anyone read that because I collaborated. You invited me as a collaborator. I was like, I hope no one's reading this as if I wrote it.
No, it was how anal sex helped me give birth.
Yeah, I know.
I think people know how to...
Well, let's just say I hope no one
What
misinterpreted
you thought your
that.
mum would have read it and...
I was going to edit the post and say this was written by Meg, everyone, not Jacob. Obviously. We don't even need to podcast anymore. We're
No,
happy.
this is fun. We can just, banter back and forth.
Let's talk about generosity.
Yeah, let's talk about generosity.
Are you a parrot? We've come a long way in the last 15 minutes.
I feel so much better. It's so true. Sometimes you just need...
I think that was like in my head. I had to leave the room because I was frustrated, and I went in and I laid down in my office, and I was just like, "Why the fuck is this happening? Why the fuck is this hard? I just want to get this done." So I was like, "I want this to be over." Intimacy. I'm like, I don't want to have to rebuild the connection, so we do the podcast. And I was like, yeah, but you're gonna have to rebuild it eventually. So why can't you do it now? What's stopping you? Like, why is it? And I was like, I just need to go in and be honest and share where I'm at. And I feel like when I do that and I like let myself be seen in the frustration, I can then be like, oh, I know what we need. I know what we need. And it's like, we don't need to sit down and do a podcast. We need to rebuild the connection, rebuild the intimacy, and then the podcast will just happen.
And I think that's like really, again, we use this a lot, but like, what's the truth of the moment? Like, we could have tried to push through because right now we're paying our nanny to be with our son and we haven't done a podcast in a while. And it's like, we in quotation marks needed to be doing this, but it's like, okay, that's not the truth. And we can continue to try and like butt our heads up against that and do that. And we probably could have sat down and just had a very,
Dry conversation.
yeah, and like been quite disconnected. So it does take a lot of surrender to be able to honor the truth of the moment and what, the relationship actually needs in that moment.
100%.
Yeah. And I know we're going to talk about being generous with each other and generous in partnership, but I just want to speak into like you left the room and you didn't really give much context, but you were frustrated. And I just think in those kind of moments too, like you came back and I had the option to, I could have shamed you. I could have, made you feel really wrong for storming out. I just think there's a generosity in choosing to open even in those moments. And me also trusting that that wasn't you trying to fuck with me, or that wasn't you trying to be mean to me. That was just you doing what you needed to be able to, be in your body in those moments. And I think so often that our reaction to our partner's reaction then just creates this, like, just amplifies everything. And a moment like that, you could have come back in and I could have shamed you, and then we wouldn't have been able to have that opening and you would have closed back up. Yeah, I just think that devotion to opening, even when your partner's closed or even when your partner's reacted, that devotion to opening is just everything.
I think there is like a really important piece here of like, you've got to be willing to break free from the reactivity.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, cool, I need to step away from here because I'm really frustrated, and I need to break my, like, I need to come back to my own sensitivity and feel what's here for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'm going to vomit it all over you. And this is the piece that a lot of men don't fully, I think, understand, is like, if you're going to remove yourself for a time from the interaction or the space with your partner, like, what you do when you step away is very fucking important. Like, if you just go out there and just reaffirm the story that the other person's in the wrong, instead of coming back and being like, why am I feeling this way? What's here for me? And I was like, I'm frustrated because I have 1,000 things that I need to be doing. And on some level, I was like, I don't even want to fucking do this podcast. Okay, why don't you want to do the podcast? Oh, because everything's inconvenient right now. Okay, well, what's it like to be the victim of your reality, Jacob? Well, it's pretty fucking, I actually quite like it because then I get to blame everyone else. It's like, okay, cool. Like, let's come back to center and then come back in and, like, don't be afraid to voice what's annoying you. Like, you having that thing with the headphones, I was like, that annoyed the shit out of me. It's like, why can't you just get on with it? Why can't you just be more like me? Like, well, that would be bad because then there'd be two of us storming out. It wouldn't work. It's like, I had to just like, I just had to be heard in my frustration. Yeah. And then you get to do with it whatever you want. You get to then, well, either react or open. And I think that was the piece where it's like, cool, like, I then asked you what you're feeling, and you were feeling disappointed and a little disconnected. And I was like, this actually isn't about anything other than the fact that we don't feel, we're not on the same team right now. We're two ships in the night. Is that how you say that?
I don't know.
Two ships in the night. But I was like, what haven't we done in a while that lovers normally do? Oh, we haven't like literally laid down in bed together and just like, being able to touch each other without the fear of like a little baby like waking up or a baby like rolling over and looking at us and going, huh? It's just like, oh wow, like our like the role of lovers has been parked for a month. Okay, cool. That's the answer. That's what's beneath all of this. If we don't reconnect as lovers, then this podcast is going to suck dick. Right.
And like, not even knowing if you pulled me into the room, like not even knowing if we would, it was almost like willing to sacrifice the podcast for what was true in the moment. And now we're back here feeling liberated and connected and we're podcasting, but it was like, we needed to be able to put the podcast on the altar and sacrifice that to be able to say fully yes to what the truth of the moment was.
Yeah. And that's where like depth has to be a priority. I mean, we could have pushed through, like the reality is we could have pushed through and done a podcast. Yeah. We could have just stayed on the surface, spoken about generosity, given a few examples, got through it. All right, done. All right, see ya. I'm going back to what I was doing. You go back to it. Yep, but done. Bye. And it would have just been another way for us to stay on schedule, but miss the whole fucking point of being in relationship, miss the whole fucking point of what it means, like why we're here as humans, which is to experience these beautiful, heart cracked open, liberating moments, which in hindsight, I'm like, why do we have to, like, why didn't I just know that was there? It's like, because we've been sick, we've got a child, we've got businesses.
Yeah.
There's an inundation of noise in the modern world. Like it feels, I feel victorious. I'm like, even in the face of all the shit, we still
chose that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel good. I think now as parents, like before becoming a parent, I think we had a lot more space to be able to meet what was there.
Fuck around, yeah.
Yeah, or if there was like disconnection,
we had 4 hours to fuck around.
Yeah, and there wasn't any other thing asking for our attention, so we could be like, oh, there's something here, and let's talk about it, and let's spend the morning, and I need this from you, and da-da-da. And not saying that's impossible now, but there is, and not that there's a sweeping under the rug, but there's something that asks for our attention and our devotion, sometimes a lot more than...
Always a lot more.
Always a lot more than, what's there between our hearts. And I think this is where some parents can spend their entire partnerships like that, never actually addressing the disconnection, because it's always, the children's children, or the other life stuff. And I'm really glad that we're devoted to, even amongst the noise of parenthood or the fullness of parenthood, still being attuned to that and still finding the time to, meet that and be with that. Because like I said before, I think it's so important for our family, like our intimacy and our connection is the absolute foundation of our family. And I do believe maybe that it's not more important than our son, but it is a huge part of his thriving.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And our family's thriving.
Yeah. If we're not connected, then it's like his little nervous system will feel that.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, what's this feeling that doesn't make sense? We're meant to be all together. And I just want to acknowledge, like, for so many men, I don't know if this is the same for women, but for men, it would be so easy to look outside of your relationship to get your relief, to like completely bypass intimacy in your relationship because there's something gritty there that needs to be addressed. And it might be that you need to bring your truth, something that's frustrating you, or maybe you need to hear the hurt in your partner's heart, and she needs to be able to feel safe to bring that. And maybe there's something there that neither of you want to acknowledge, but once you do, that's the thing that's going to liberate you and provide you the deeper connection that you're looking for. That takes conscious effort. That takes a conscious choice to do that. And it's so much easier to go and watch porn. It's so much easier to check out and go and say you need to go to work, or say you need to do this, or say you need to go that and do the, whatever your regulation tool is, whether it's skillful or unskillful. It's like in those moments, I took like 5 minutes to go and be with myself with every intention of coming back in. That's the piece that I believe men need to understand, is that like you have a responsibility to the role of lover in your relationship, regardless of all of the other things that take up your time, energy, and resource. And if you don't nurture that, if you don't water that garden and you don't tend to it, you will find ways to get your needs met outside your relationship, which will be dishonorable, which will be distorted, and will most likely lead to you losing the thing that you've been building this life for.
Yeah, there's something like being devoted to intimacy, again, especially now as parents, it's inconvenient at times.
Massively.
Like it asks to, sacrifice things, or, ask for energy that we feel like we don't even have to give. But it's like, and again, I think it is moving in relationship with a consciousness that like how important that connection is and what becomes possible, and the space that's freed up in our own bodies, but the space that's freed up in our home and the field of our family when our hearts are really connected, and how much that is worth the effort and it's worth the inconvenience.
And it shifts a lot of the, I have to do this to, I'm excited to do this.
Yeah. I know what's on the other side of that when I lean into that conversation, when I choose to open my heart, when there's part of me that's like, just fucking keep it closed and just get on with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it becomes very much a transactional experience being in the house. It's like, oh, you do this, I do this, you do this, I do this, you do this. Yep, okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to bed. And there's no warmth. There's no richness in the relationship. It becomes bland and mechanical, which is what a relationship was never meant to be.
Okay, should we talk about generosity?
Let's do it.
Where do we want to begin with this? I think when I speak about, when I talk about generosity in partnership or practicing this, it's really moving from existing in relationship with this scoreboard and keeping track of, I've done this, so he does this, or I've loved him really well. Why isn't he doing these things to love me? And just like this comparison, this scoreboard, keeping score, this everything needs to be equal and fair. Which again, now as parents, I can see there's so many more opportunities to keep score, so many more opportunities and responsibilities to try and keep equal or be comparing. And how this holds us back from, what am I trying to say? This holds us back from a deeper level, I believe, of intimacy and connection and, a deeper level of intimacy, which can only ever be born from being devoted to generously offering ourselves into the partnership and attuning not to what would be fair right now in this moment, but the better question is, what's the truth of this moment? What is this moment asking of me? And so just a very just very normal example of this is maybe it's your like turn to wash up. Yeah, or it's your partner's turn to cook and wash up. But you can feel as you come in the door from work that she's had a really big day. She's feeling disconnected. She's a bit overwhelmed. And what is going to be best for, you could keep things fair. You could just pretend you can't feel that in the space. You could pretend you can't feel that in her body and you can let her cook and clean up. Or you can attune to that and be like, generosity would look like, even though it's not my turn, I'm going to say, hey babe, go run a bath. I've got tonight. I'm going to cook. I'm going to clean. You go nourish yourself.
I'm going to order sticky rice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My favorite right now. And how much, like I can even feel that in my body and you're like so fucking great at this. But how much that can offer the partnership in moments like that when we're able to, instead of holding on to what's fair or what was scheduled, we actually attune to what's true in the moment. And that does mean sometimes putting down our preferences or, letting go of what would be equal, but being devoted to what's true and how much that can feed a relationship.
I really would like to just redefine anchor the definition of generosity that I feel we're talking about here, which is this idea of giving without expectation based on what the truth of the moment is asking.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So I really want, because generosity isn't, well, I'll do all of this because I'm the generous one in the relationship.
Yeah.
So this is where you don't want to fall into the fact that one of you is the generous one and one of you is the one that never does fucking anything. Because
there's still a scoreboard under the generosity.
I'm the generous one. That's just what I do. Like there's a certain...
Look at how much I give you and I don't even care for anything in return.
That creates like this self-perpetual, like I need to suffer in my relationship to be validated. I need to be the one that's giving. And it's actually an inability to receive. Put my hand up there. Like that's something that I've fallen victim to, where I think that I have to be the savior of you and that the relationship. And it's like, no, generosity is a relationship. It's a trait that the relationship gets to cultivate. You cultivate that in the relationship. And generosity is not just one way. it has to go both ways for it to actually work. But it's not, it has to be a two-way street, but it's not a two-way street that you need to go, that's about, I have to go this way as much as I go this way in those moments. Everything eventually, I rather than saying everything balances out, I think everything harmonizes.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that that's more what we're looking for here with generosity. But just to reiterate, the definition is like generosity is your ability to give without expectation based on what the truth of the moment is asking you.
And that's back to things not always being convenient. Like that's not always convenient.
Fuck
and I
no.
think we have been devoted to practicing this for a long time in our partnership, but the last, say, like month has been really, really challenging in our family with sickness and fullness and all the things. And I know in my own practice in our partnership, I've had moments where I've had to really consciously practice being generous, even when it was inconvenient, even when there was part of me that didn't really want to. My practice was, how can I be generous to you in this moment? And an example of this is, I think it was a few weeks ago, you had been sick and then we were and you'd been away for like 5 days. So I was with our son just by myself for 5 days. And so couldn't really get a lot of work done. And then I was excited for you to come home. And we were sick the week before. So I basically had 2 weeks where I couldn't really work. Then you returned home and I was excited to get back into work. And then there was a day where I was scheduled to work in the afternoon and I could just feel that you were really depleted. Like I could just feel you needed nourishment. And I could feel in my own body that the truth of the moment wasn't for me to hand our son to you and go, okay, see ya, I'm going to go work. The truth of the moment was this man needs nourishment and I'm going to sacrifice my afternoon of work because that's the truth of the moment. And I'm going to generously offer him this time. And I think I said to you, I don't need you to be with Oshi this afternoon, but you do have to, it's a non-negotiable that you go and get a massage. You need to go and nourish yourself and you need to go and be looked after. And that felt, there actually wasn't a part of me that didn't want to do that. But in my head, like logically, it was like, I should be taking this time to work because I've got lots of responsibilities and I haven't had a moment to work in weeks. And but I couldn't deny the truth of the moment and what was being asked of me, which was to offer you that. And I think I love those moments. That moment felt so delicious to me because I'd get to gift you with something I can feel that you really need and you're really going to appreciate. And that felt better than working.
I also think that there's like a long-term focus there. It's like, if I do what the schedule says, is that actually going to be what's good for longer term for the family? Like where is sticking to the script actually like just going to create problems down the track?
Yeah.
And I think this is where like consciousness is such an important piece of relating. I think there's like so much rallying and there's so many people that advocate for emotional expression and like, I just need to be more emotionally, expressive. I need to bring more of my expression. It's like, yes. And in that, as you develop more emotional expression, you also want to develop your consciousness, your awareness. So like in that moment, you can be like, okay, cool. This is what the schedule says. And beneath that, here is what the truth of the moment is asking me. So rather than being fair, can I be generous? Yes.
And that consciousness is so important. No, I think we talk about consciousness as like a masculine quality, but this isn't just like men having that quality. No. It's like, this is so important if we want to be a generous partner and if we want to love our partner really well. And that means being able to attune to their body and have consciousness about what's unfolding in their emotional body in their life in that moment so that we can actually feel and hear for the truth of the moment. I think a question that is really beautiful that we've been like not even consciously asking, it's just been natural to us, but just like bringing words to it in the last few weeks has been like, what's what's best for the nervous system of our family right now. And so even in that moment of like, oh, what's best for the nervous system of our family? It isn't for me to go and work and hand you our son. Like, you're depleted. You need nourishment right now. That's what's best for the nervous system of our family. And, you know, your generosity of when I was sick last week, like, you know, you just took our son without question, and for 4 days we're just deeply with him, and you had to sacrifice a lot of work and a lot of things that, you know, you could have, should have been doing, lots of responsibilities that you had, but just the generosity of this is the truth of the moment.
It takes a lot to be a conscious parent, like in those moments. Like, it's like, oh, that's parent, like being a good parent is not, it's like there's a consciousness that comes with all of that. Like, consciousness can almost be like almost a burden sometimes. It's like, oh, Meg's sick. I know that Osh needs presence. Like, I'm going to be that. I'm going to forego my work, and I'm going to prioritize him and making sure that you have space. And like, we went away and like, this is where, like, I think I want to talk about like another form of generosity. We went away for a friend's weekend, and I think in that weekend I was like, oh, I could have been probably a little more generous with how shit I actually felt. I think I could have been more generous with like how I was feeling, and sort of filled you in a little more.
I would have liked that.
Yeah. And we went away on this, and I've wrestled with this, and I'm like, I really, in hindsight, upon reflection, was like, I could have actually been more clear on like, hey, I can't do this. I can't do this. If we're really wanting to honor the nervous system of the family, like, I'm not in a position where I can go and do this weekend as much as I want to, and as much as it's like it's something that we've been looking forward to. I know that for me, in that, the truth of the moment was, hey, I actually just need to stay at home this weekend. And I think that's like the generosity piece is like, we're really looking for as much a connection to the truth as we are a connection to giving whatever it is that it's being asked. Like, you can't give generously if you're not connected to what is deeper than the scoreboard, or what's deeper than the plan, or what's deeper than the schedule. And I think that's such an important piece of it. And there's a vulnerability to that as well. There's like a letting go and a surrendering and a submitting and all these things that, if you're anything like me who wants to be in control and keep the show on the road, make sure we get to where we're meant to be going, I think there's a real vulnerability in generosity. There's a real, I actually need to let go and be okay with whatever is here right now, rather than what I want to be here right now.
We're talking earlier about this around like preferences. Like, we can either operate in relationship always trying to get our preferences met, like what we want met. We can operate like that, or we can operate from what's the truth of the moment, which isn't always going to be our preference. I was talking with a friend recently about how initiatory it is to honor a man's no. And how in our experience, like, you never used to say no to me. And it was just like the Meg show, and you would always just, you know, make it work even if you didn't want to. And then there came a time in our relationship where you really started to express your no. So maybe it was you didn't want to go to a particular event, or you didn't want to do something with me, or, you know, whatever it might have been. And that was such an initiation to be the kind of woman that didn't try and manipulate you into changing your no to a yes, or manipulate you or control you into me getting my way. And I think this is like the inner princess of a woman that wants to tantrum and like manipulate, and is very good at tantruming and manipulating and controlling her way to get what she wants. But that's actually, I think I'll speak for myself. I think the deeper part of me doesn't actually want my preference to be met in that moment. I want to be the kind of woman that can deeply respect your desire and your no, or what's true for you and what's true for the field of our relationship. And so I think, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I think this is being able to, I think sacrifice is a really beautiful word in this context, because I love the etymology of the word sacrifice, meaning to make sacred. And sometimes when you're in devotional partnership, you're going to be asked to sacrifice your preference, like what you want, to make sacred the relationship, to make sacred the truth of the moment, to make sacred the union. And whether that be it's late at night and your partner wants to go deep into a conversation and that's actually the truth of the moment, but you're really tired and you don't have much to give, but you're going to sacrifice, your sleep in that moment, your preference of getting 8 hours to actually be with what's present, which is she needs you. Yeah. She needs your presence and awareness and depth in that moment. Or for many women, it might be, okay, my partner's saying no, he doesn't like, that would have been really challenging for me if you would have said, hey, I'm not going to the friends weekend. And I don't know how I would have been with that, but I know deep down if I would have really felt that was your truth, I would have had to respect that and, sacrificed my preference, which was to have you there even over that weekend because you were really sick and you had to be in the bed the whole time. I had to sacrifice the whole time and be with the heartbreak of like the weekend that I'd expected and the weekend that I was like, looking forward to for weeks and weeks and just be with the pain of that and the heartbreak of that. And yeah, I just think this is devotional. There's a maturity to navigating partnership like this from this place of like, it's not just selfish and from the I, and it's not just all about getting your preferences and but preferences and wants met. It's really about, can I honor what's here right now in this moment?
Yeah, it sounds as though it's shifting from like I'm the center of the universe in this relationship. I'm the priority, me, to how can we create a container where both of us are in service to the relationship, and in service to the connection that we share. Yeah, and sometimes that's going to look like, hey, I need to show the fuck up this week, or hey, I know that this is what we need. I'm just going to get more water. And with this approach where it shifts from it's all about me to what is it that the relationship is asking of us, there's a whole new place that becomes available. One where you have someone that is not looking out for you, but is looking like into the deeper parts of you and the relationship, where you have someone like, and there's something about it, like it's when your partner consciously knows what you need more than you do, and they're able to like then honor that. It's a kind of healing love. It's very healing when your partner knows you better than you know yourself. Or your partner is aware of what the relationship needs, and they can guide both themselves and you to that. And that's a really loving experience. Even though you might be like, no, it's not a problem. And then when you finally actually receive it, you're like, oh fuck, I didn't know and I needed that so much. Can you give an example of like where you've done that for me or where I've done that for you? I think even before when like I came back in, I was like, I could easily just like say, no, I'm fine. Let's get on with the podcast. You tell me, yep, I'm wrong for leaving. Yep. I shouldn't have been angry at you. Yep. No, that's fair. Your nervous system. Yep. That little buzz thing. Yep. No, you're right. I shouldn't take that. I could have easily pretended like my feelings don't matter and swept like, and like, and put you back at the center and said, hey, actually, you're right. You were the one that was like, you have every right to be upset. I shouldn't have reacted the way that I did. I could have easily put you back at the center and you would have been, okay, cool. Yep. He sees that I'm right. Yep. He's acknowledged that he shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Okay, cool. You're back in the priority seat. And then it's like, cool. Like that. And then I could have sat here and I could have forced myself through the podcast and kept my truth boiled down. But instead, I was like, no, I need to speak. And then I was like, and as soon as I was like, and this is not the answer to our problems all the time. I was like, we need to fuck. oh, we have an opportunity to go and have sex right now. We don't get opportunities like that like we used to. Oh, this is what's being asked of me. I'm like, and then in that moment, I was like, oh, but then I'm going to have to get in there. Hopefully she doesn't fucking need 45 minutes warming up. Oh, is she going to fucking, am I going to like kiss her just a little too close to her pussy? And then she's going to be like, no, not yet. I don't want you to go too fast. I'm like, and then I had all of this. I was like, oh, fuck it. Who cares? Let's just see what happens. Like all of the stories of like, oh, is this going to be harder than it needs to be?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you have to, well then just do it. Don't tell her that we're going into fuck. Just take her in there, throw her on the bed and move with the confidence that you know exactly what the relationship needs.
Yes.
And you're willing to be so fucking generous with your energy and your leadership that there is no denying that you know where both of you need to go for the connection to be reestablished at a depth that allows this podcast to happen with the utmost ease.
And I think, there's times where you've done that and I wanted to stay in control, or I didn't fully surrender and offer myself into your leadership.
Yeah.
And in that moment, as soon as you took my hand, I was like, this is happening. I'm offering myself to you. Like I'm surrendering and trusting that you can see where we need to go. But I think there's been many times, as I've healed the part of me that loves to stay in control and doesn't want to let go, many times where there's part of me that wants to fight and like resist and close up and make you work for it or make it almost like sabotage the experience. So I think it takes in majority of the women that come into my world are women that want to deeply be able to receive a moment like that from their man, but their bodies aren't familiar with that. Their bodies aren't familiar with letting go. And so I think it takes such a conscious effort to receive a moment like that.
Yeah, I think there's it's attunement too. Yeah. Like I could have come in and like pushed the microphone out of your waist, grabbed you and like tried to drag you in there.
Yeah.
And I think that would have felt too aggressive or too like forced. Whereas I came in and I was like, I held my hand out and you almost got to give yourself like almost like here, I'm giving you permission to lead me, but I'm willing to be led.
Yes.
Where if I had to come in and grab you and be like, we're going to fuck because that's what you need. And
I'm the leader.
I'm the leader and I know what we need. It's like, shut the fuck up, dickhead.
I think there's a difference between, and I think this is really important for both men and women to realize, but there's a difference between a man trying to lead a woman from a place of self-service. Is that a word? What word am I looking for? Like serving himself.
Yeah, it's like we're going to do this, so this is the quickest way to get it done. Yeah.
Yes. Versus a man leading from a place of, in deep service to the woman that he's leading in that moment and to her body and her relationship. Yeah, and the relationship. And so I think sometimes, I'm never saying to a woman, override your instincts when you can feel like a selfishness in his leadership. No, like sometimes the truth is, I'm not able to surrender and open because he's actually just being a dictator in this moment and say, I'm leading because I'm the masculine, but actually he's not using any consciousness or attunement to what your body needs or what the moment is asking for. And so, yes, sometimes your inability to surrender is great fucking information. It's not that you're not being feminine enough. It's that your body doesn't feel safe in that moment and you can feel that it's not the right texture for your body to open to and not the right, texture of lead. It's not true leadership. Yeah. I want to, are you okay if I take the conversation back to a place we spoke about before?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to take it back to generosity and how, when we spoke, what was the definition you gave of generosity before?
Generosity is to give without expectation based on what the truth of the moment is asking of you.
And I think that without expectation is so important because oftentimes, like in those examples that we used, me saying, okay, no, the truth of the moment isn't for me to work today. It's for you to go get a massage and for me to be with our son. The days in which you looked after our son while I was sick. It's one thing to do that and show up as that, but then it means nothing then. It totally overrides that whole experience of generosity if the next week you come to your partner and say, hey, you haven't done anything for me this week, and I did that thing for you last week. You know, I looked after our son for 4 days while you were in bed, or I sacrificed my work so you could have a massage. Like, that's generosity with the intention of scorekeeping. That's generosity, not unconditional. That's conditional generosity. I'm going to do this, but I'm going to remember it. And I'm going to be watching and hypervigilantly watching to check if you repay me. And that's such an energetic thing. And it can look the same on the outside. It can look, you know, the same generous act. But if you're holding that scoreboard energetically in your body and in the field of the relationship, it's not the same at all. And it's not going to ripple out and have the same, you know, impact on your intimacy and connection at all.
At all.
How do you, I think this is a challenge for a lot of couples.
Hugely.
To put down the scoreboard. What would you say to couples that are really challenged by that and do find themselves keeping score and wanting to keep things equal and watching their partner to see if they're as generous as they are and just caught up in that whole paradigm of relating?
I think that the first thing is, like, at some level you're going to keep a scoreboard.
Yeah.
At some point, like, no one's immune to it. So, like, you're not going to all of a sudden never have this internal scoreboard ever again. I think, well, I know the piece that I like to develop within myself is becoming aware that the scoreboard is there. So when I start to feel like I am extending myself beyond beyond generosity. It's like, I'm being generous. Yep. And then I get to a point where I'm like, I don't have anything left to give. Yeah, I'm still trying to be generous. And that's when the scoreboard starts to get the notches on it. And I'm like, hang on, where am I overextending myself because I think I have to be the generous one? Where am I not allowing myself to receive in this relationship? Or where am I not honoring myself as much as I'm honoring, like, where have I, like, made me being generous the truth of the moment no matter what? Where is that now the story? And the actual truth of the moment is for me to say, hey, I need help.
Yeah. Yeah. I think anytime, like, my invitation would be anytime you notice. And yeah, I love that you said that no one's immune to not having a scoreboard. And I've noticed that in parenthood. It's like, oh, how often, even when you go away, how the part of me comes alive that's like, this is unfair. Like, this is, I do more than you. And just noticing that part of me, noticing that that's there is like the first step. And then, choosing not to lead with that part, almost like going, what's underneath this? Oh, there's a desire. Maybe I'm desiring to be seen in a certain way, or a lot of the time for me, it's appreciation. Like, underneath, I just want you to really go, I thank you so much for staying home and being with our son. And you do this. You sent me a beautiful message being like, I couldn't do the work that I do without you. And like, your choices to, you know, be with our son. And, so underneath the scoreboard is like a desire, like, what's underneath that? A desire for appreciation, or maybe it's a desire for some time alone, or, you know, when you feel the scoreboard kind of taking over, it's like, what's the truth underneath that? Is there something that you're really needing, a desire that's not being met, or something that you haven't spoken into? Yeah, I think there's a truth rather than being like, this is unfair and I do way more than you. It's like, oh, I'm feeling the desire to be looked after. I would really love a day where you really look after me. Like, the different, just the difference in offering that in a partnership.
Yeah. Or even like on Monday, just gone, when you had that email that you wanted to finish and you're in a flow.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just need another half hour, 20 minutes. And I'm like, well, technically the afternoon was mine for work, and but I'm also like, you're going to be so much more present with our son if that email's done.
Yeah.
You're going to be so much more open, and there's going to be a sense of like, once that loop's closed, you're going to be able to really drop in. So I was like, where can I let go and sacrifice this 30 minutes in service to the nervous system of our family? Like, how can I know that? And okay, cool. Awesome. So that just means that 30 minutes that I've sacrificed, I now get to just be a little more efficient with my work.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's, it's like, it's about like calibrating with what's being asked of us. The one thing that I'm really aware of is like, my preference would be to work every single day. My preference would be to like not have to do anything that like, I don't want to have to look after I want to be working all the time. Like if I really was honest, which it feels like I just want to work. I just want to crush it, build a business, and then like look after you guys. Like that's what I want. However, there's also a part of me that's doing that because I think I have to, not what the truth of the moment is asking me. It's like, is that how you actually want to live your life, Jacob? Or is that just what you believe a man should do? I'm like, well, I do want to make sure that we're looked after. I do want to be reliable and dependable and responsible as a man. And I also do want to be present. So where are my preferences kind of forcing me into a box? Or forcing me to be something all the time, or be something no matter what, rather than actually being present. And that's been I think I'll wrestle with that for a long while yet. I don't think that's something that's just going to go away. I think I'm going to have to continually develop my ability to be with that, to be with like, okay, cool, there's always going to be more to do. There's always going to be another task or another thing on the to-do list that doesn't get done today, but guess what? There's tomorrow. So can I trust that I will get to the things that need to be done without overriding what the moment is asking? Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I think I just think it's important to like note your preferences can be almost like, not necessarily authentic either. They can be like borrowed. Like preferences are not necessarily the deepest desires. And
yeah, and I think that's where, I use that example of like the princess of a woman earlier. Sometimes it's like, that's not actually what the depth of us wants or what life is asking of us. I think that's the truer expression. It's like we can have, even in parenthood is a beautiful example. Like, my preference isn't to wake up every 2 hours for the last night's month. My preference would be to get, 8 hours of sleep. But the truth of the moment is my son wakes up every 2 hours. And of course, I'm not going to ignore that, right? That's what life is asking of me in those moments. So I will say yes to it. And so I think, I think there is just such the word like maturation comes to me, and especially because we're in a season of parenthood, but I think this kind of relating, like devotional relating, where it's not just I'm going to get what I want. It's sometimes I'm devoted to this union, I'm devoted to this partnership, and sometimes it's going to ask me to sacrifice what I want for what is true. And that's not always going to be comfortable. That's not always going to be convenient, but it's what is being asked of me. And I feel like there's a part of us that gets fed in a way that we will never get fed if we're just constantly getting our preferences met. It's like when we stop trying to like manifest the perfect life and we actually just become a vessel for being initiated by life and letting life move us and surrendering and opening and saying yes to whatever life offers us. Like that's such a deep spiritual practice. There's part of us that gets so fed when we offer ourselves to life in that way versus relating to life in a way of like, I must get everything that I want and I must manifest the perfect life. It's like, for me, the way I relate to life now is I will offer myself to you. And I know that's not always going to be me getting what I want. And there might be me tantruming a little, or I might find that really challenging and gritty, but I know I'm here to be in the spiritual practice that is life and offer myself in that way. And I think this is where union and partnership and marriage is a spiritual fucking practice. And we get to widen and deepen our experience of ourselves and just become more of who we're here to be because we're not always getting our preferences met. Yeah. But we're still choosing to, be in that moment and offer ourselves to that moment. Okay.
That feels good.
There was one other thing we spoke about before pressing record around. Do you want to speak into that or leave that?
I don't remember what it was.
Around sometimes that like hierarchy of another conversation.
No, I think we can touch on it. Maybe we can do a longer podcast. But yeah, I think there is almost like the I know better in these moments. Like there can be like almost like this guru complex that one partner takes as well. It's like I can see that you're triggered. You're in your stuff. Go and deal with that. Or hey, that's not mine. Like hey, I'm not actually going to take responsibility for you on what you're feeling, and I'm going to step away, and you can go and figure that shit out.
I'm sorry. I hate that so much. I'm sorry. I'm so passionate about it.
Hate?
I hate it so much when people like it's people in the self-development industry and the self-help kind of world where it's suddenly like, that's yours and don't bring that into this space. Like that's your wound and you're bringing that wound and, I can't help you with that. Like that's yours to go and give that to yourself. And I understand that. Like I understand that, we're here to offer ourselves what we really need and all that shit. But I also, and this is how we practice in our partnership, like you have never turned me away. You have never said like, oh, this is, that's like, no, don't bring that here. That's go get coached on that. Or like, yes, there's moments where you've gone, hey, what am I trying to say here? Yes, there's moments where you can see that I could be really deeply supported by someone outside of our partnership, but not in a way of like, that's inconvenient.
There's a difference. This is where attunement's important. There's a difference. So there's times where you come to me and you want to be saved. There's other times where you want to be seen.
Yeah.
And when you come to me and you want to be saved, I can't save you. That's not my responsibility. I can't save you from the initiation that life is offering you.
Yeah.
But if you bring something to me and you bring it to me in confidence that I am your safe space for you to fall apart, for you to be frustrated, for you to be for you to feel whatever it is that you're feeling, that's so much more. That's a completely different experience. So there's a difference between like I'm outsourcing my own shit to you and want you to like fix me versus, hey, I'm bringing this to you because I feel safe with you and I trust that you'll be able to hold me in this.
Yes, I hear that. But I also think we're talking about when someone is outsourcing to then not make it a coaching moment.
Oh God, no. Yeah. That's
what I'm saying. Like I think so often, because of course this is going to happen. I think especially for women can come and they want to share and there is sometimes a part of a woman that wants to be saved or wants to be really deeply reassured or wants to be told for the thousandth time that day that you love her. And I think I don't love when some people go like, that's you trying to outsource right now. And that's you wanting my love, but you need to love yourself. Like, yes. And just tell that fucking woman you love her. Just tell that woman for the 100,000th time today, hey babe, I love you. Do you feel what I'm saying in that?
Yeah. I also think that it's like ensuring that like, what's the truth of the moment? What's the truth of the moment? Because it's like, yeah, if she comes to you and needs to hear that, yes. But then there's been times where you've come to me and you're actually like, hey, my love, you're acting like an absolute brat right now. Like there's times where it's like, okay, cool. What do I actually need to, rather than push you away, where can I like pull you in? Like, hey, come here. you're being a little fucking brat. You know that you're good at this. You know what you're capable of. Go and fucking do it.
That. See, I think I'm just trying to speak into when,
like, I will
when I get pissed off at the self-help, personal developmentness of like coaching someone in a moment like that.
I think what you're talking about is like, where can we be the reassurance that our partner needs as they develop a stronger sense of self?
Yeah.
There's like, that's
and
the
I
thing.
don't believe, sorry to interrupt you, but I believe things heal relationally. Like, yes, it's really powerful to be doing our own work, and we can't always be relying on our partner to be, you know, the sturdy source of our power and our reassurance and all these different things. And sometimes it's really beautiful to see that your partner is trying to outsource and then just go, hey babe, I love you. Or like, hey, you're a bad bitch. Like, you got this. Like, to not make it, I'm just not about people turning away their partner in terms of like, hey, that's yours. You're outsourcing to me right now.
Yeah.
And you need to go into your room and you just need to love yourself more.
Of course I'm outsourcing to you. You're my you're my lover.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a sacrifice that if you want to be in a relationship, you will have to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to cost you. Like, that's just that's life. People think, oh no, like two sovereign beings. It's like, yeah, but no.
I don't like that. I think there's just like so much.
And I'm not here, I don't want to talk about we're codependent. It's like, no, like, we're consciously choosing to need each other. We're consciously choosing to want each other. We're consciously choosing to create a container where we're both standing alongside each other and looking into the fire and being like, what needs to go on this today? Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know if I've done the conversation I want to have justice in this moment with this last bit. And I feel like I need to formulate my thoughts and feelings around this more. But I just think there's something so, there's something that devotional partnership and union goes beyond you're a sovereign being and I'm a sovereign being and I'm independent and I've got myself and I'm whole and healed and this is two whole beings together. Like, I don't like that.
It's almost like a spiritual 50-50 relationship.
It is.
It's a spiritualized second stage relating.
It is. And I think it actually then in a moment where the moment is asking you to be really fucking generous or be someone's fucking spine or unwavering, pillar of love in that moment. You know, there could be a moment where you can really fucking show up for your lover and heal them in a way that they've never been healed before and love them in a way that they've their inner child has never been loved.
Yeah.
But you bypass that moment by going, oh, like this is actually not my job. This is yours to be with.
That's avoiding depth. And the fact of the matter is that your partner's going to bring things to you because you are their safe space, and you then get the opportunity to provide a healing experience or a reaffirming that they are too much or not enough experience. Because you did a fucking NLP course or you did a coaching certification, you now know how to coach, which is like just a glorified avoidant attachment fucking badge. That's all it is. Entrepreneurship and like all of this stuff is like it's glorified avoidant attachment style. It's like, I know better than you, therefore you need to go and sort your shit out so you can come up and spend time with me. When you're healed, then you can come. Once you've sorted that out, then come back to me, and then we will connect when it's easier for me. And that's just bullshit. It's like
there is something that this you've really landed on the piece that pisses me off. Because there is something our role as if we want to be a devotional partner and really truly practice like spiritual intimacy, our devotion is to love and accept all the parts of our partner that they bring us. It's not to go, that part isn't healed. Can you go do an embodiment practice? Can you go say some affirmations so that you can come back and actually be in your power with me? Because you need to get in your power first before we have this conversation or before we do this. Like sometimes this is partnership. It's holding your partner when they're falling apart and they're super fucking insecure, and you wrapping them up in your arms and saying, baby, I've got you. Baby, I can be your power right now. Like fall into my arms. Like that is love. And being able to offer, being able to love your, like there's something so deeply healing and beautiful about loving your partner in that moment without judgment and without this undercurrent of that's not welcome here.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm getting fired up, but I also feel like my thoughts aren't fully like formulated around this. But for those listening, I really invite you to become so ruthlessly devoted to seeing where you have an undercurrent, where you're meeting your partner from this place of that part of you isn't welcome here. Like just judging parts of your partner. And I remember I used to do this a lot whenever like your little boy energy came out. And maybe it was like really playful and exuberant, or maybe it was like when you weren't the solid, just showing up as like the solid, unwavering man that I wanted you to be, I would shame you.
You'd like crush my joy.
I would shame you and I would make you feel wrong.
For having fun.
And it was almost this part of me that's like, don't you know that only your solid, unwavering man is welcome here? And when I realized, there was such a moment, I know exactly where we were. We were in our Village Way house and you were in the room and I was like walking towards you in the room and I didn't even know what led to this, but there was a moment where I realized, what if you were doing the exact thing I'm doing to you back to me? Like, what if I was not in my power in that moment and you were basically being like to me, like, ugh, like that's not welcome here. Like one of the things I appreciate and have always appreciated in our partnership is like, you have never made me feel like any part of me is not welcome. You have always made me feel, you've never made me feel too much. And it was such a moment where I got to be like, oh, I'm not being that for him. I'm not reciprocating that at all. I'm not ever saying this out loud, but this is what I'm doing with my behavior. And the message I'm holding underneath is, I'll love this part of you and that part of you is welcome, but not that part. Don't bring me that part. And that was just such a moment for me to be like, I do not want to love you like that. I want you to truly feel like you can bring every fucking part of you and I am loving and accepting every single part. And that shifted so much for me in the way that I loved you.
It was generous.
Yeah, it was generous.
Yeah, generosity is a cornerstone of relating. For us, definitely, and for anyone that wants to move beyond that 50-50 or this like hierarchical style of relating. It's not codependency. What we're spruiking here. It's not, I'd die without you. It's like, no, I actually I could live without you, but I'd rather not. Yeah. I'd rather actually, and I don't want to live with half of you. I want to live with all of you. So I will take the good with the bad, and I'll take the frustrating with the fun, and I will like be with myself as much as I need to be, so I can be with you, and I'll trust that you can hold me as well when I fall apart. It's generosity is a vulnerable act, and vulnerability is such a courageous thing to be in this modern world where it's easy to bring something and be told that that's not okay. But I think that's the whole point of a relationship, is to remember that it is okay. To remember that that part of you is okay and it's welcome. And it has and there's a time and space for it to be here, and we'll make arrangements for it to be welcome. And ironically, once you allow it to be seen, quite often it doesn't need that much after anyway.
Right. Yeah.
It's quite often just needs to be acknowledged, and the feelings that are moving through you need to be acknowledged and allowed. And it normally, like ironically, the thing that you think is going to take forever, normally it only takes 10 minutes. Doesn't take that long. So be generous.
Be generous.
Don't be a dickhead. Stop trying to coach your partner.
Yeah, if you take one thing from this, stop trying to coach. Oh
Don't push them away with your coaching jargon.
I feel like so many people do it without realizing they're doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people get into personal development. They think that they're now good at relationships. It's actually I've seen more people in personal development fuck relationships up than people that haven't been in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between you can do all the fucking plant medicine and it bring you no closer to
they are some of the
being
most
good at
stupid
intimate
people at relationships. People who've done a lot of plant medicine, you guys, yeah, relationships aren't your forte. Love you guys, but yeah. And same thing, like personal development, it's personal development. It's not relational development. So like there's a whole other piece of the puzzle, which is like, okay, I've done the work on myself, but as soon as I step into a relationship, guess what? You're back to square one. You now have to go through that while being witnessed and have the vulnerability of someone else seeing those parts of you. Because the person in the room that you partnered up with, that you did it for 10 minutes, yeah, that was a good reference point, but now it's time to go back into the real world and actually live it.
Yeah.
Because once again, it's good to practice and it's good to do these things. And I'm a big advocate for personal development, and I'm a big advocate for plant medicine. I'm a big advocate for men's work, women's work, and working on ourselves. However, none of that matters if you can't bring it home.
Oh my gosh.
None of that counts. It was all just a fun weekend that doesn't actually solidify anything if you don't bring it home and bring it into your life.
Yeah. Amen.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon.
Bless up, bless up. Big love, people. We'll see you when we see you. Could be next week, could be next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
The truth of the moment will reveal all.
Bye.
Peace.